A new Wordle puzzle is online. Click on the link to play.
Listening to the following video may give you clues. Please like and share the videos.
Parents overjoyed at release of U.S. Marine in Russia. In a press release issued Wednesday, parents of U.S. Marine Trevor Reed praised the Russian government for freeing their son, who spent 9 years in prison for assaulting a police officer.
Reed has since contracted tuberculosis and has also learned Russian. The news of his release was met with applause from Reed's parents and other US military members.
It was also reported that Reed is now fluent in Russian. Trevor Reed was sentenced to 9 years in prison.
American journalist Trevor Reed was recently freed from a Russian prison after nearly 9 years in custody. His release is a diplomatic feat and comes amid a war with Ukraine that has strained US-Russia relations to a new low.
President Biden's statement says that Trevor Reed has now been released from his Russian prison. However, there was much more to the story.
Biden pledged to do whatever was necessary to see that Reed's release was granted in a case that has made headlines throughout the world. A former US
Marine was sentenced to 9 years in prison in Russia for endangering police officers. The sentence was largely condemned by the top U.S. diplomat in Russia.
In late July, the Moscow City Court ordered Reed to undergo psychological evaluations after the incident. A spokesman said that Reed would have been eligible for probation if he had not been sentenced to a prison term.
He was accused of assaulting a police officer. U.S.
citizens are increasingly concerned about the treatment they receive in foreign countries, including Russia. One of the most notorious cases is the arrest of an American citizen in Russia.
Trevor Reed was accused of assaulting a police officer while driving through Russia. He allegedly yanked the driver's arm and elbowed another officer.
He was also charged with endangering the lives of police officer Sir President. Biden raised the case of US citizen Trevor Reed with his Russian counterpart during a meeting in Geneva, Switzerland, in June.
During the meeting, President Biden said he would follow up on these discussions. In May, the White House confirmed that Reed was released from Russian prison.
The US Embassy expressed frustration over the fact that Reed did not receive phone calls from his family or friends while in custody in Russia. He has contracted tuberculosis.
After months of protesting against Reed's imprisonment, his parents have finally received news that their son was released from a Russian prison after a 5-day hunger strike. The Reed family says that the U.S. Marine's condition has been deteriorating due to his prolonged detention and the lack of medical care.
Reed's illness has led to his contracting the disease COVID-19 and was exposed to tuberculosis in February. His health has deteriorated so much that his parents have taken to the White House to demand his release.
They have been trying for months to bring attention to Reed's case and have even successfully pressed for a meeting with Vice President Biden. However, a Russian court has delayed Reed's appeal.
His appeal is expected to be sent to a lower court. Thus, Marine was held in a Russian prison for 232 days when he first went silent.
He was in a cell surrounded by dangerous inmates and was not tested for tuberculosis. His parents believe that their son has active tuberculosis but denied that he was receiving adequate medical care.
Their fears for their son's health led them to demand that he be given medical care. He is now fluent in Russian.
A former U.S. Marine from Texas named Trevor Reed is now fluent in Russian.
He served in the Marines from 2011 to 2016, and at the time of his arrest was a Texas resident. The former Marine had served in the Marine Presidential Guard, where he was tasked with protecting Vice President Joe Biden at Camp David.
After he was discharged from the Marine Corps, Reed enrolled in the University of North Texas where he took classes to learn the language. In the Russian prison, Trevor Reed was forced to write all of his letters in Russian.
He was only allowed 2 English books. The only thing he managed to do was learn to speak Russian.
The ordeal has had one positive outcome. Trevor Reed is now fluent in Russian, and it may be a result of the Russian language instruction he received in prison.
Although the Russian government had already served a considerable portion of his sentence, the Reeds believe they were unfairly treated in prison. The two of them believe that the Russian prisoners mistreated Trevor Reed.
The Russian prisons were a harsh environment, and they believe that he contracted tuberculosis. He is now fluent in English.
The news broke earlier this year that a former Russian prisoner, Trevor Reed, had been released after 3 years in jail. The alleged crime was assaulting a peace officer.
According to news reports, Reed was in poor health while incarcerated in Russia. His eyes were sunken and he looked weak when he stepped off the plane.
He was then arrested for drunkenly grabbing a police officer's arm in a celebration, but he managed to get freed from prison and soon was back in the United States.
As a result of his release, Reed's parents stood outside the White House last month and pushed to meet with President Obama. They also managed to score a private meeting with Vice President Joe Biden.
Meanwhile, during the president's visit to Texas, Reed's parents stood near the motorcade and demonstrated for a chance to meet the president. The parents of the former Marine were also praised for their actions, and they received a personal meeting with the president.
He is learning Russian. During the summer of 2019, a Marine veteran named Trevor Reed was detained by Russian authorities in Moscow.
He was alleged to have assaulted a police officer on the way to the police station. His family has maintained his innocence, but the US government has deemed him unjustly detained.
Reed was studying the Russian language and visiting his girlfriend's family during the summer, and while there he attended a party where he drank a lot of vodka. As a result, he got dizzy and started running, resulting in a police chase.
After a meeting with Elena, he returned to college and enrolled in a Russian language course as a foreign language. His aim was to learn Russian so that he could better communicate with his girlfriend.
In early June, he visited her in Moscow to continue his Russian lessons and meet her. On his return, he plans to visit her in the fall of 2019.
He is fluent in Russian. The case of a citizen, Trevor Reed, a former Marine, has made national headlines.
The former Marine has spent over 1,000 days in a Russian prison, where he was denied access to healthcare and had no way to contact his family. Despite his fluent Russian, he was sentenced to 9 years in prison.
In exchange for his release, the US government offered to trade him for a Russian pilot who had served a lengthy sentence in the United States on drug trafficking charges.
The exchange of prisoners is a common practice since the Cold War. The parents of the former Marine, Trevor Reed, met with the Texas congressional delegation, who believe that Russia's invasion of Ukraine has complicated their son's case.
Rep. August P. Pfluger of Texas believes the State Department is trying its best to bring Reed home but wants the country to apply pressure on the Russian government to ensure the release of the American citizen.
He also wants to ensure that Reed is given access to consular services and is allowed to contact his family. He is fluent in English.
Despite being a non-native English speaker, 30-year-old former US Marine Trevor Reed was able to communicate with the vice president during a phone call with his family.
He was arrested Monday morning while waving at the Biden motorcade from his car. Although he was unable to speak with the president, Reed's mother told CNN that the gesture was well worth it.
On the phone, she also heard Biden say a prayer for her son on the way to Texas after spending 3 years in a Russian prison. Trevor Reed has been released.
The two men were exchanged in November. In exchange for Konstantin Yeroshenko, Trevor Reed had spent the first 2 months of the Russian winter in jail.
Upon arrival, he will have to spend a few days in a hospital and will be required to take a few days of treatment. The Reeds have accused the Russian authorities of mistreating Trevor while he was in jail.
They also claim that he was mistreated, and that he suffered from shriveled tuberculosis. His case raises awareness about other Americans in Russia.
The case of a citizen and former Marine Trevor Reed has captured the attention of the United States. Reed has been imprisoned in Russia for the past 956 days and is currently on a hunger strike.
His family has accused the Russian government of fabricating the charges against him. This is just one example of American citizens imprisoned in Russia.
Other cases include Brittany Griner, who is also imprisoned in Russia, and Paul Whelan, who remains in Price and Earth. White House has declined to comment on the specific details of the conversations between the president and Reed's parents, but the family's representative said that Biden's visit to the Russian capital was very clear about the case of Trevor.
They are hoping that the United States government can intervene in Reed's case and free him. While they are exhausted and tense over the current situation, they are hopeful that their son will be freed and returned to their family.